front end so far, and you can see what we have. We have the donation button, we have the connect wallet button rather, and we also have the total donations display. Then we have list of donors display. And remember, I told you that the list of donors will not actually be fetching the list of donors, but it, this is just a simulation. Now, if you want to, display the list of donors, then in your backend contract, you add, a fetch donors function, so that when you get to this level, you just instead of having the simulation, you rather call that function just like we call um, the total donations public variable from our contract. And you remember that we're able to call it this way because the total donations variable or state variable in the contract is a public one, and in Solidity, a public variable has a getter function. Okay, so it's just like a function that you can call, you know, just like you call a normal function. Okay, so let's move to the next stage. We are done with this stage, which is I think that is 3.3. We are done with 3.3. So let's move to 3.4. All right. Okay, so in 3.4, in this lesson, we will build donation form that allows users to input the amount of Ether they want to donate and send a transaction to our donation contract using Ethers.js. We will also handle form submission, validate the input, and update the user on the transaction status. Okay, so let's start with step 1, creating the donation form component. Alright, so let's follow the instructions here. Step 1 says that under step 1, option 1 says locate the donation form.js component in the components folder and then add the following code to donation form.js. So we have our form structure, which we created donation form.js. So we are asked to copy this code and send it there. Alright, so when we copy it, I'll explain a little bit about what the code does. So I just copy it and I'm going to our code to look for the component. So it says donation form.js. Here's it. Then I'll paste the code I copied. Okay. So let's look at our next step. It says what? The next step says that, okay, so it's about explaining the code. So let's look at the code. State hooks stores the ETH amount the user wants to donate. Okay. So just like we're talking about the React hooks. So here we have donation amount and then set donation amount use state, and it takes an initial value as an empty string, right? So this donation amount takes an initial string which is empty. Then we also have a use state, transaction status, set transaction status, which is also a string. Then it's loading, set is loading, which is a boolean. Okay. All right. Now the function to handle the donation, and this is the function to handle the donation. Let's run through it to see exactly what it is doing. Okay. So handle donate, that's the name of the function, handle donate. And let's see, so it has a condition. So when you see this e dot prevent default, it's because this is an event function. So what's the name? They call it event. Events. When you create events in React or Next.js, you can see that this is the form, and then the onSubmit method calls the handle donate event function or event model, and that's why we have the E. Okay, so inside here we have E dot prevent default, and when you're creating a form to submit, you can call this particular method prevent default. What it does is that it prevent the form from sending you know empty um, empty input, and also it prevents it from double sending and all of that, right? So you can read more about what the prevent default method does. So normally this is how I do call it anytime I'm writing something like this. And then inside there we have a condition or a conditional. I say what if donation amount, not donation amount, or um, the donation amount is has nothing in it. Okay, so this is a one condition. Or as float, donation amount is less than or equal to 0. Okay, then alert, please enter a valid donation amount and ether. So this is just um you know this is just a condition to check this particular hooks. Okay, so whenever you call this particular function, it has to first check to see that the amount you entered in the inputs. Okay, so we have this particular input which is called donation amount. Okay, it's called donation amount, and it has a value, an unchanged. The unchanged does what? It calls the use hooks set donation amount function, which says that variable. So we have e set donation e dot target dot value. Okay, so this is just a normal way of creating a form. And when you put an amount in there, when you click on submit, what this particular condition will do is, I know because we have this set donation amount, it means that any value that you put in here, the own change will keep track of it. So when you put like 0 or 1 or 2 or what, this particular set donation amount will keep track and be updating this variable, so this particular variable, the amount you put in that particular input, this particular function sets this donation amount variable to that particular amount. So when you are submitting the form, you are submitting the value which is stored inside here. So, and we don't want to send a 0 amount to our contract, because that will not work. Okay, so what this particular condition will do is that it will first check to see that we have any value inside donation amount. Okay, so if we don't have a value inside donation amount, or there is nothing in donation amount. Okay, so the reason is that this particular initial is a string. So sometimes you use this is non-donation amount, which now talk about numbers or units, something like that. So this is a one condition. Or pass float donation amount. So pass float converts a string to a floating point number. All right, and a string that contains a floating point number. So whenever you use the pass float, it will the initial value of it is a string, or whatever you put in there, it records it as a string. So the convert this pass float is a method that will convert any string you put inside there to a number. So if you put 10 or 1, it goes in there as a string, because you can check here the initial, it is set as a string, but this pass will convert it to a number, and then the condition will check, and it will check to see whether that number stored here is it less than or equal to zero. So that means if it is less than or equal to zero, we don't want to send it. So the condition will, this particular line will alert the user that he or she should please enter a valid donation amount in enter, and it will return. So the function will not continue, but rather it will stop from here, and then it will halt and return back to the form. Okay. So if the next line, if this particular condition passes, we move to the next line. If type of window.ethereum is undefined, so it will also check in the browser to see whether you have any MetaMask or Ethereum wallet installed. And if you have it, it goes inside the try and catch. Then a variable is defined for a provider, and then you know how this works. When you do that, you call the new ethers or browser provider, and then you pass in the window. So this one will now get to the provider. Okay. Then when you get the provider, you also sign. Request an account signing. So sign is equal to await provider dot get signer. So these particular things you are seeing, this browser provider, get signer, ethers dot contract. All of these things are provided by ethers. So you can either find them reading through the ethers documentary, or you can find them even inside MetaMask documentary. They have something like this. Okay, so you only need to call them because you want to use them for your purpose. Okay, now let me tell you, I already explained to you what a provider is, and then this particular signer is a method that um, somebody calling or trying to process a transaction will sign. So that's why when you open your MetaMask, sometimes you want to do something, you want to conduct a transaction. First, you connect, then when you try to process the transaction, your MetaMask will open again and ask that you should sign. So if you want something like that to happen, and you call this get signer. So this provider, after getting the provider, you call the get signer method on the provider to get the signer variable. And now once contract is equal to, you now pass in the contract address, the donation ABI, and then the signer. All right. So and then set is loading to true, set transaction status to processing. So these ones are just like hooks to show how you see how they work when we perform a transaction. All right. So when transaction is successfully, so await dot you wait for this async to go x dot wait. Then when it passes or it is done, the set transaction status, which was initially set to processing, will now be set to donation successfully. So this one is like a loading state used to control the loading. Right. So let's try something here. And remember that in the previous component, we had an error with this, and then we created the ABI.json. So instead of having it this way, we have to remove it and rather use the ABI.json, which was inside the utils. Okay, so this then ABI.json, ABI.json, stuff like that. And then let's go back there and do something. So instead of having donation contract ABI we have to remove this dot ABI because we are no more going to the we are no more getting it from the folder, but rather we are just using the variable defined at the top, import donation ABI. So we are now using this name because we are just going directly to the ABI JSON file. Okay. So after having this thing, let's go and check what we have in the form. Okay, so let's connect our wallet. This one donation form. After connecting our wallet, we should be able to now get the donation now. So how do we go to the donation form? Let's go to let's go to the next step and see what we're doing. It says what? Step two, using the donation form in your app. So now we have our donation component, okay, which is now ready. Open donate slash page.js, then import and use the donation form component. Okay, so now let's open donate slash page.js. Please check how we do that. So we'll go to our app, and then over here, because donate slash page is is a page, so we have to route to our page. So how do we do that? We do this, and then we say donate. You just type donate, something like that, and then we click on enter. And now it is going to be empty because we haven't we don't have any yes, so you see now it is empty, but we are now on a different page. So the default export is not a React component and donate slash. Okay, so let's go and work on it. Okay, so we have the components where we have the donation form. Let's close it this way. Then this is the page we just opened, donate slash pages, and it is currently empty. Let's go back to Hardhat. It says import and use the donation form component. So let's copy this boiler code and send it there. Now we we can either copy this, or the simple way is that you can even create the form. You can create it. You can just create the code. It's very easy to do, but what we're supposed to create here is what we have here. So let's just copy it and send it there. Then we will see how it works. Okay, so I just copied and pasted. Let me check. Let me go back to app and see. Okay, still loading, and you can see what we have. Okay, so check what we have here. Now let's see let's see something. Okay, but remember something. This contract address is wrong. This is not the right contract address. So we have to replace with the correct contract address. So let's go back to where was that? That was Connect Wallet. Was it Connect Wallet? No, that was the pages, the main page where we use the it was here. This is where we use the contract address. So let's copy it. Copy your contract address. Then go to the donate page, and instead of this, replace it with the right contract address. Place with the right contract address. Alright. And you can see the error here has gone. I'll just replace with the right contract address. Then let's see what we have here. So um this particular component is very simple. Okay, so export default function donate page. And we have a variable, a state variable, which is a contract address. Then inside there we have this HTML element, each one make a donation. So that is what we are saying here, make a donation. And then we imported the donation form component. So remember we just created the donation form component. So let me clear to make sense. Okay, so we just created the donation form component, and it was a form. So inside this form, we had the input. So check, we had this input. Let me comment it out and you see. All right, and it was this one. You can see that it has gone. So inside this donation form component, where we had the input failed. The input failed, and then we just imported um, the donation component into the donate page. And because of that, you could see the form displayed. So let me uncomment. So you could see it. And then we use the it's loading use state and all of that. So you have to check the code very well and you understand everything working here. It's quite simple. All right. So I think let's go and check the next step. Then we can come and test it. So make a donation. You can see that the font, how am I going to say, the UI is not looking very proper aligned, because this is just for tutorial sake. You can edit or make it look beautiful. So the next, what this does, the donation form component is displayed on the donate page. Okay, allowing users to input an edit amount and make a donation to the contract. So route localhost 300 slash donate. That is what we did. All right. Then styling the form. This is optional. So you can add some CSS to improve the appearance of the form and transaction status messages. You can use Tailwind CSS or basic CSS. All right. So we are provided with some CSS here to make our form look beautiful. And it says copy and paste below styling in global.css. So it's global. There was a type error here. Or create donation form.css if preferred. Okay. So let's just copy this. Then we go and paste it inside global.css. Where is it? It's here, globals.css. So let's paste it there. So let's see if that is a change. Anyway, let's go. So this is just CSS for styling your. Okay, so we are done with this. It says you have now created a functional donation form that lets users make donations to the donation contract. The form handles input validation, sends the transaction using ethers.js, and provides feedback to the user on the transaction status. In the next lesson, we will implement the withdraw functionality for the contract. So let's go and test our donation to see whether it is working. So first, let's go and connect our wallet. So let's go to the home page first. So this is the home page. Then I'll connect my wallet. So then put my password. Okay. So wallet is connected. You can see it displayed my address. Now let's route to the donate. Let's go to the donate page. Okay. So I don't know what this error is. It says hydration failed because okay. So hydration and all of that. Anyway, so this will not affect our app. There's some hydration problems. So let's try to make a transaction. Say 0.028. Oh, it is not very clear. So this is CSS issue. That's why it's not very clear. You can correct it in your phone. You know, you can just you can add a CSS here to correct it. So we have waitful P2 border 300. So let me ask text black. See if that work. Okay, and you can see that it has changed. to black. So you can now see it very well. Then let's try to donate 0.02 ether and see what happened. So processing. Okay. So my MetaMask has an issue which I was supposed to correct for this, and it might be causing a problem. You can see what is happening here. It kept loading the Arbitrum Sepolia network. So I think I have to reinstall the Arbitrum Sepolia in the app for it to work correctly. I don't know what the issue is. Will not fetch data in ID. So there is an issue I have to correct with my MetaMask, my Sepolia to make it work. Okay, so let me just correct it and then I'll test again. And let's try the transaction again, see what will happen. Okay, so I'll put 0.02 again, 0.02. Then I'll call the donate button. So when I click on the donate button, you know what happened, right? When I click on the donate button, this unsubmit the donate form. The unsubmit the donate form will call the handle donate function, which is this event handler. So it calls this handle donate function where the magic will happen. And when you call it, first you check to see whether we have the input we put is more than 0, or if it is empty, then it will revert. But so far there's a value, it will move in here. Check whether we have a MetaMask. Here we have, then it will open the MetaMask wallet, ask that we sign. So when it opens, it gets the provider and asks that we should sign to see whether we are really ready to do the transaction. Then when you sign, it takes the signer variable, passing in here with the contract address and the ABI to get your contract instant. And after getting the contract instant, the magic here will happen. Then we have the execute donation function. What happens is that we have this variable called TX, which this transaction is equal to await. Then we now call the donate. This is the donate function inside the main contract. So contract.donate, we call this one. Okay. And then when we call it, we'll pass in value. And the value will now be the donation amount that we inputted into the input field. Okay, so that's what we'll pass in as the value. When you go and check in the main contract, the donate function takes a value, which is a uint. So the donation amount is now the uint. The reason why we have ethers.pass ether is because we have to convert it from any we have to make sure that we are passing in actual ether amount to our donation contract. So that's why we have this particular line. Then we wait for the transaction to process. Then after it process, donation successful, we reset and all of that. So that's what this particular function does. Okay, now let's go and call the donate. Let's go and click on the donate button to submit and see what happened. So donate. You can see processing. So this processing is because after we click on everything, we set it's loading through, and then we set transaction status to process, and that's why you see this processing. You can see that the MetaMask has opened for me to confirm the transaction. So it's a transaction request from localhost 200 interacting with, check what is here. This is our contract address. So interacting with this particular contract. If you are okay with everything, you confirm yes. So I say yes. So It says donation failed. Please try again. You can see down the donation failed. Please try again. So let me know. Let me check to see why the donation failed. So here's it. Let me view on Block Explorer. Let me check again. Where at the scan error. So let's copy the contact address. Then we'll go and check to see what happened. So the donation really went through. It didn't fail. So I think there is this is a front end issue. Okay, the donation actually went through. You can check it here. 1 minute ago, a donation was conducted with an amount of 0.02 Ethereum. Okay, then to be sure of it, let's open the transaction hash to see. And you can see that successfully. So the donation actually happened, it didn't fail. So what we have here as donation fail, I think it's a front end issue. When we check our code, we should be able to see that um, the logic there is a logic problem in our front end, but the donation actually went successful. We can check again, and you can see also see that the amount I was having was 0.067, and now it is 0.04. So it actually worked. I don't know why here it's showing donation fail. Meanwhile, it has gone through. So that would be donation status fail, but on the blockchain we have success. So that is a logical issue that we can check later. All right. We also even have an event which is displaying. So let me do another transaction and see. So I'll now send 0.01. I'll conduct another transaction. Okay. So confirm. Okay. So another error comes and says um, donation is not being able to send. Meanwhile, you can see that it really worked. So I believe that the configuration of this address still have a problem. Okay, so the problem may be coming from this particular RPC URL that I'm using. So it could be the reason why I'm getting this error. But the transaction is really working. Okay. So from your end, I believe that you will not be seeing this particular error. All right. So try your transactions, and I'm sure if you have everything intact with your network, you will not be seeing this error. Okay. But the transaction is working. So everything is working. Let's go to Sequoia again and check something. So to be sure that the transaction really works. I'm going to refresh again and see. You can see that another successful transaction with amount of 0.01, which was successful 1 minute ago. So let me check here. You can see successfully the transaction went through. Okay, so we are done with the donation form. Try it and you be able to fix any error. Okay, for the sake of this video not being too long, we have to move to the next section. But um, you will not see this error if your RPC is correct. So the reason why I'm seeing it is because I was having issue with my Sequoia network, so I had to change the RPC to a different RPC network, and I'm sure that's the reason why this particular error is happening. All right. So if yours is intact, you will not be seeing it. Let's move to the next section. So the next lesson will now be okay. So this is it. 3 point. We just done with 3.4. We are moving to 3.5. 3.5 says what? Building the withdraw funds feature. So now we have been able to conduct a transaction, and what it means is that there is now money inside our contract, because so far 0.03 that has been donated into the contract, and now we create a withdrawal function to be able to withdraw the money sent there. Alright, so how do we do that? We check here. In this lesson, we will implement a withdraw feature for the contract owner. We will create a button that allows the owner to withdraw funds from the donation contract, and we will display messages to inform the user whether the withdrawal was successfully or if there were any errors. We will also ensure the contract owner has access to this feature. And let's check step one, creating the withdrawal component. So same thing, we are not going to waste much time. The same, we created a withdraw funds.js component inside components. So we have to locate that particular one, and you can see it here. So we have to locate it, then add the following code to it. So we just copy this code, then we go and paste it there. Withdraw funds, and then I paste it there. As you can see, I paste it inside. And then let me explain. Let's look at the withdrawal. So the component name is withdraw funds, which takes a contract address as an argument. So wherever we are calling this particular component, we will pass the contract address to it. And when it grabs the contract address, okay, the magic happen here. So check if it is owner. So first we have a function inside this component to check if the person calling. So to first check whether the person connected is the owner of the contract. Okay, so check something here. Check owner, that's the name of it. Then inside the function, what happened? Check to see whether there's an Ethereum wallet. Yes, there is. Okay, and then we get the provider. You know what this thing is about. Then accounts, I wait provider dot sign this. So the thing is that when you open the app, you will connect the app to your wallet, right? And then now, whenever you navigate to this particular page, that is the um, whenever you navigate to the withdrawal page, a use effect will first run. So you know what a use effect hook is. So anytime a component is about to mount, this particular function will run. If it is running, it runs with this particular check if owner function. Okay, so before the component runs, mount, this particular use effect will call this function to check. And when it calls the function, what happens in the function? That is what we are now here. The function first gets the provider, and then the function also gets the account which is connected to the app at that particular moment. So if any other person, call this particular, go to the withdrawal function, the withdrawal page, first the person account will be called. When it's called, it asks that the person sign with that particular account, and if that happens, a you know the contract instance will be called and pass in contract address, the donation ABI, and then the signer. And let's look at what exactly this particular to create a variable called owner, then contract.owner. Now when you go to our donation contract, when you go to our donation contract, we have this particular variable, use state variable called owner. Okay, so let's go there and check something. We have it called owner. So this is the contract. Now expand it. So you can check this owner variable, and it is a public variable. So that means it has a getter function. So how do we get the owner? So inside this constructor, we assign the message dot sender to the owner. So in the person that deployed this particular contract, that person's address, which is the message dot sender, that person's address will be assigned as the owner of the contract. And we have the owner variable here, which is a public one, which has a getter function. So this particular use state will call um, this function, and then the function will check to await contract.owner. So it wait and go to our contract, then call the owner, get the owner variable or method to see whether the address which is connected at this moment is the owner of the contract. So what this particular line does is it gets the address which is stored or the value. So the address which was stored inside the owner variable to retrieve it. And when it retrieve it, it now compare. So this line will only retrieve the address that was stored in the owner variable during deployment. And then when it retrieves it, the next line will now compare. So let's look at how it compares. Const connected address is equal to await signer dot get address. All right. So and then we have set is owner here. So this is also a hook. It's a hook. So we call this get address. It's a method in ETS.js. You can see a JSON RPC signer dot get address. You can check on Google, or you can even go to the ETS library and search get address. What it does. Okay. So connected address, which is a variable, will await then the signer dot get address. You call this get address, which will get the address of the person that will perform the signing. Okay, and if that particular person perform the signing, it takes the address that did the signing. Okay, so the address that did the signing, and then inside this set is owner function. We do this comparison. Okay, so owner dot, so just say owner is owner equal to the connected address. So we now take this particular, the address that was retrieved from here, and then the person who does the signing. Then we compare inside here to see. And so this to lowercase is just a way to make sure that both these variable, the value in this variable, which is the address in this variable, and the address in this particular variable are all in lower cases. So we do the comparison. Are they, the same? So if they are the same, it means that this particular set owner, which is a boolean, will become true. So check it up here. Owner set is owner, which is a boolean false. So it is currently false. If this particular line do the comparison and be sure that yes, the value retrieved in this particular owner variable. When it went, it went to the contract and retrieved the value which was stored here. And then also the person connected, we call the get address to make sure that the person who signed when the wallet was connecting address also retrieve inside this value. Then we do the comparison to show to see whether they are the same. And if they are the same, set its owner will take true and make sure that the variable here is owner will now be turned to true. And if it is turned to true, it means that something will happen, a magic will happen here. So if it is true, we now display this condition. So if its owner is true, what happened? Then display this particular button, withdraw withdraw funds button. Display this particular button called withdraw funds. But if it is not the owner, then display this particular line which says that you are not authorized to withdraw funds. So that is how simple it is. Okay. So anytime this component mounts, something like that will happen. So we're going to test it to see. But first, let's correct here. As usual, we have to correct this particular line by taking this out, then giving it to utils, and then abi.json. All right. And then the next step is that import import this particular donation, this particular withdrawal funds component inside the withdraw page. So let's go to the next stage and see what it says. Step 2, using the withdraw component in your app. Now, open withdraw slash page. So we navigate to the withdraw page, import and use the withdraw funds component. So just like we did for the donate page, the same way we route to withdraw the withdraw page. So look, when you are with routing, you don't type withdraw slash page.js, but rather this is how routing is done in Next.js. So instead of now donate, we use withdraw. We use we put withdraw here and click on enter. Initially, right now we have zero. We don't have anything in the withdraw side. Okay, let's go to the withdraw page. Where is it? Okay, it's here. This is a withdrawal page. We have nothing in it right now. So that's why we have this error. So let's go. There's a boilerplate code which is here. Import withdraw funds from this and this. So let's copy this. Then we go and paste it there. So after pasting, let's see what happened. Let it load. And you can now see what we have here. Hmm? Now you remember something. The component here, which is the withdrawal fund, takes the contract address as the argument. And here the current contract address we have is wrong. And remember I was telling you that whenever you want to use the withdrawal funds component means you have to pass in the contract address as an argument. Okay. So let's correct this particular line to the right contract address. So we go back to we can check here to find the correct contract address. Let's copy it. So just copy it and then let's go back to the withdraw page and replace this one with the right contract address. Okay, then let me load the page. Alright, so now I just replace it, and I'm seeing you are not the authorized owner. You are not authorized to withdraw these funds. Why is it saying that? Um, let me check. So let me check to see which account. Okay, so connect wallet. So you are not authorized to withdraw these funds, but I have to check to see why it is telling me this. Whether um maybe the retrieve address is not the same as. Okay, so we have an error. Cannot read properties of undefined. Reading format JSON. Ah, okay. You see, he didn't correct here. So after changing the check something here. You see, I like errors because it makes you learn. You know, here. So after changing this one to ABI.json, we're supposed to correct here to donation contract ABI. We're supposed to remove this ABI because we are no more digging to get the ABI from the form, but rather we are just going direct to get it. So we're supposed to remove it this way. Okay, so that is done. And still I have you are not the authorized owner. Okay, you can now see it has popped up. So everything is working perfectly. Just make sure that you get your component right. So inside of the .abi, because initially we were digging into the artifacts folder, then you navigate to the donation contract ABI, JSON, then you now move into the JSON, then you get the .abi. But now we are no more doing that. We just created the ABI.json where we went and copied the JSON, the ABI. So we go direct. And because we are going direct, instead of we still having the ABI, we have to move the .abi. And when you do that, you have your we now have the withdraw funds button. Okay, so to be sure that this is working, I'm going to change my account to a different account. And if I do that, you will not see the withdraw button showing again. So this was the account I used to deploy the contract, this particular account. I'm going to change to a different account, and you'll see that I will no more have the deploy I no more have the withdraw button. I just change, and then now let me reload. Okay, so the reason is that let me go back to homepage and see. So connect wallet. Okay, so I am still connected to the old wallet, the old account. The only way I can work with Sure is to go and disconnect it from my MetaMask. So account isn't connected to localhost. If you want to connect to the account one, I say yes, connect it. And now I am connected to a different account instead of the one I use. So let me now go back to what did you say? It is I'm not recovered from my data. Okay, so let's forget about it first. Let's go to the withdraw and now check whether we still will get the button. You can see the button is no more showing. Let me reload. So the button is not showing because the address that was used to deploy is not the same as the address that is now connected. Okay, so the correct address is not, and we can even do something to see if we are right. Now let me do something here. So I'm going to console.log, and first I'll say owner. I'll do something here. We'll say owner. And also console.log, and then I say connected wallet, connected. Let me just you say connected, and I say connected address. Then I put this one. So I'll console these two things. Then we see in our console, in our browser console, what we'll get. So let's go to the browser console and see what we have there. So let me reload. Uh-huh. So I just reloaded and you can see here. Let me expand the view for you to see. Now check two things here. We have owner, check the address. We have the owner. You can check that the address is this. Then connected address is this one. So the comparison that will work in the contract will not result to true because these particular two addresses are not the same. Okay, the two addresses are not the same. But let's do something and check again. Let me go back to um let me disconnect this first account, this connected account now. I'm going to disconnect it. So permissions, I'll disconnect this one. So disconnect. Okay, so and then now I'll go back to this account two, and that means I want to go and then connect to account two, a account, yeah. So now let's connect again. So okay, so you can now see that we have gone back to the first account, and let's go to our console again and see the comparison. Let me go to withdraw page. Let me go to withdraw page, and then hold on for okay. So check, we now have the withdraw funds button showing. The reason is now check something here. So this is the owner which locks this address, and then this connected also locks this address. You can check both addresses. You can see that they are the same. Because both addresses are now the same, we will be able to see this withdraw funds button because it means that if these particular addresses are the same, then the line we have here, um, let me place my things very well. This is not how that place. Okay, so it means that the line we have here, which is set is owner, inside we have this comparison. This comparison will result to true, and because of that, we can see the withdraw funds button showing. Okay, so let me delete this. This was just I'm gonna comment it out. This was just for showing. Now let's go to the next stage. All right. So when you click on withdraw funds, when you now click on the withdraw funds button, what will happen? So we have the button here, and there is an on-click method which calls a withdraw function. So when you click on this button, this on-click method will call the withdraw function. Now let's look at the withdraw function. This is the withdraw function. And the withdraw function also performs just the same as we know. First checks if there's an Ethereum wallet, yes. Goes inside the get a provider, it tests the browser, also get a signer, call the signer method. So you can read what is the signer method. So browser.get signer address resolves to signer account for this managed by client. So if the address is a number, it is used as an index in the accounts from this. This can only be used on clients which manage accounts. So you call it to get, the address which is connected to sign. And then if that is done, we get a contract instant. Then we pass in, details about the contract. We pass in the contract address, the donation ABI, and remember something to here. Let's remove this one. Let's remove it so that we don't get an error. And then we have the signer variable. Okay. And then processing withdrawal, all of this, you can read through these lines to understand exactly what is going on there. Okay. So just this simple, just like we've been explaining, or we've gone through the rest. So now that particular function will only work when you click on the withdraw funds button. Okay. So we now have some money inside our contract. So when we click on it, we'll be asked to withdraw that amount. All right. So let's try it and see. Okay. So now I'm going to click on withdraw funds button, and let's see processing withdrawal. My MetaMask just opened for me to withdraw. So now let's read inside MetaMask. What does it say? It says transaction request interacting with this contract address, this and this and this. Do you want to confirm? Yes, I'm the one calling this contract address. So I confirm. Okay, so it says withdrawal failed. Now let's go to confirm that on Abiscan. Alright. So just like what happened in the previous donate, um the same error might be happening here because I still have a problem with my PC. You can see here it says withdrawal failed. But to confirm whether the withdrawal has failed, let's go back to um Sepolia. Then we check to see whether it failed. So let me refresh this. Meanwhile, it didn't fail. Okay, you can check withdrawal. So in 37 seconds ago, this withdrawal contract was called on withdrawal function was called this contract. Let's check. See, it was successfully. So it is just what I'm talking about. You will not be seeing these errors if you are following up and you are doing the right thing. You will not be seeing these errors. But you can see that we still have everything going very well. So this one, I'll just fix it after this particular record. I'll just fix it by going to correct my network settings, and you will not be seeing this error because if yours is intact. All right. So, but that is it. Everything is working. We now have the withdrawal funds showing, and then okay, so you can see my RPC. I have a problem with the contract RPC and all of that, and that is why this is happening. But withdrawal has happened, and everything is now all right. And that is what I wanted us to know. Now we know how to get the withdrawal. So study this code very well and understand why we have this particular button, and how we are able to interact with our contract, and then see that it is working very well on Abiscan. Okay, so when you're getting an errors, you can fix the errors. If the errors are not errors that prevent your contract logic or your app logic to work, you can fix these errors later. But just make sure that the logic or what you want to achieve is really working, or you are really achieving it. And that's what we're doing here. We are achieving it because you can see on Abiscan, which is the mother place to verify, is showing success on whatever we are doing here. Okay, and that is very important. Now let's go to the next stage. Then we see why this one says styling the withdrawal feature, which is optional. So let's forget about this. You can do it if you want. So this one to just add some stylings to. Let me just copy it and paste it. It says you can add basic CSS to improve your appearance on the button. So let me go and paste this inside global.css. Okay. So let's go to the next stage, which is now 3.6. We're almost done. So now we'll go to 3.6, enhancing the user interface. So like I said, enhancing the user interface. This is now a way that you can design your user interface. In this lesson, we will improve the user experience of our decentralized donation app using Tailwind CSS. We will add success and error feedback messages to user interactions and implement a loading spinner to show when transactions are processing. So we can update, we say updating the donation form with Tailwind CSS. Open donation form GS and update the component to use Tailwind CSS classes for styling and loading spinner for transaction processing. So we can now copy this code, then we'll go and replace the one we have currently just to. So this one is now for styling. This is not adding any logic to your code, like any logic to your contract or whatever. So we can now go to donation form, and then over here we highlight this particular one I just copied. Alright, but we're going to have error because you see this particular side needs to be corrected. Okay, because the one I just copied is not the right, it has a problem. So you know what we are doing here. Okay, so if I don't correct it initially, we're going to have an error. So let me go to the donate page and you see there will be error. Right now there will be error until I correct it. You can see the error. Okay, so let's correct it. ABI or utils slash ABI dot JSON. And then don't forget to also correct, where is it? Don't forget to correct here. I can't, where is it? I'm looking for it. Inside the contract instant here. No, rather here. Don't forget to correct it by removing this dot ABI. So, and now see what we have, some styling. Uh, so we've gotten it to look somehow beautiful. Okay, so this is just some styling thing. It might not even be beautiful to you. You can still add your stylings and make it look more beautiful. So it's just a way to show that you can, change the look of your form and make it look more beautiful. Something like that for users to feel when they are using your app. Okay, so we are done with that aspect. Step two says that adding a loading spinner. So you can add a loading spinner. You can create a CSS loading spinner using Tailwind CSS. So to do that, we'll just copy this one. And we'll go and paste it inside global.css. Okay. So what this one will do is it adds some loading states. So let's say we want to donate 0. Okay, you can see that it is not showing. So let me add black to this place. Where's the form? So the input, I'll go to class name, and then just like we did the last time, I'll add this line. I'll add text black, text black. and that should now be showing. You can see that it is not showing. Okay, so if you want, I can say font. There is a font bold. And you can see that it has now been bolded. So I'll just 0.1. Then let's try to donate and see. I see spinning. It's now spinning. So this spinning is now working because we just added the spinning CSS into the global, and that's why you are now seeing the spinning. Okay, so confirmed, and donation has occurred. We have that it has been donated. It's just the normal error message showing that donation failed. Meanwhile, donation did not fail. So it said donation failed, but donation did not fail. Let's go to the mother verifier. So donation just happened 26 seconds ago. It's 0.001 Ethereum has been donated to the contract. All right. So the spinning, that's what it means. Let's check the next stage. Adding a loading spinner and all of that. So all these ones are just just styling for now. So if you want to, there's also a styling for your header and all of that. So let's check it. So it says what import the header component at the top of all pages. Importing in the home page, for example. So we're going to import the header. Remember that we have been able to work on all these components except now the header and then the footer. So right now we don't have anything in the header component. We don't also have anything in the footer component. So here it says that we should import the header component on top of all the pages. Okay, on top of all the pages. But before that, this is the header component. So let's work add header component to make routing easier. Copy and paste the following code to the header.js. So now let's copy this one. Then we send it to the header component so that we can now make routing. Right now we don't have any header in our app, and you can see how messy it is. There's no header to just click on this and you go to donate and this and this. So now we are adding header so that we will be able to, so just like the nav bar, be able to take care of that. So this is the code, and then I'll paste it here inside the header. Okay. And now when we have this, the next line says that, where is it? When you have your header, it will not show or work until you import it into the pages. So it now says that import the header component at the top of all pages. First, let's import in the home page. So let's go back to the home page. Okay, see how messy it is right now. Now let's import header. Now we have the header component. Let's import it inside there. So go to the main page, close here, 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 and then go to the main page. This is the main page. So the one inside the app, the one serving the app, the main page. So go to the home page. Then we will import header. We import the header. How do we do that? Go down here, then we will import it at the top here. Let's import it at the top here. So I say header. Okay. So the normal way, you can now see that it is showing slash component header. So yes, this is what I want to import. Then I do something like this. So the header is now imported. Okay. So let's refresh the page to see what will work now. Hold on for the refresh to happen. Okay, and you can now see beautiful. We have home, donate. Okay, you can now see that we have a header at the top of the home page. So when you now come to the home page, you see header. So let me change the color now to see to show something. So instead of black, BG black, I'll do it BG green. So let me say BG green 700 for now. So you can show very well. So you can see we have the header, home, donate, and so now if you click on donate, this should navigate to the donate and read this one very well to understand why it is happening that way. So you remember that initially to route to donate, we have to just do something like this. Then we click, we write donate. But now we have this header that when you click on donate, um, you know, we are using something you just check. Um, this is very simple. We're using the link. So just like the A tag in HTML, we're using the link which has this href attribute, the href attribute. And then item.href, check this object here. So we have this object array or this array which contains objects. And each of the object is home with each so name and then each href. So that's what we are doing here. And we use the mapping to map the items. And then when you map the items, we now pass the href item.href to the href attribute, stuff like that. So this is how this is just how it's working. Okay, so now when you click on donate, it will route to the href. You click on withdraw, it will route to the withdraw. Now, when you go to withdraw, you will not have the header because we don't have the header here because we have to import the header into the donate page before it can work there. So let's go to donate page and import it there as well. So just like we did, just below this div, let's import header. So this is it. You know how to import. Okay, so it's now imported. Let me reload. Wait for the reload to happen. Okay, so you can now see that we have the donate. Inside the donate page, we now have the header. So we can route back to the home page, connect our wallet. We can route back to donate page. But when we route to withdraw page, we won't be able to route because there is currently no header there. So let's route to. You see that there is currently no header on the withdraw page. So we have to import it there too. So let's go to the withdrawal page and import it there as well. All right. So down, then header, you know, I have to import it. It is not importable. So here's it. Okay. So when you import at the top, you'll see it that it has been imported at the top. So now let's load to see. Okay, now see that on the withdrawal page we have the header. So now you can route easily. Go to home page, route to the donate page, route to the withdrawal page, route back, So now routing has made easy for us to just be routing. Okay, so that's how it works. Okay, now let's go and finalize. Let's go and see. We are done. We are wrapping up. Let's go to the last. So 3.7 allows is deploying the front end. Okay, so deploying the front end. How do we deploy the front end? So we only know how to deploy. Only learned how to deploy the back end, which is the smart contract. Now let's deploy the front end as well. So like I said, these errors you should be able to correct them. Just read through them very well. It says type error cannot read properties of undefined reading format design. So it it tends to utils the format iter. So where is it? Let me see something. That's when you check this one, when you go to ethers, you should be able to find the format. Normally, this there are changes happening all the time, and sometimes you might be using the old version, and that will cause error. So you update it. So probably this particular ethers.utils format ether is no more the one we're supposed to use. All right. So it might be the reason why this is causing, and you can also see that the total donations is not showing. Total donations is not showing because this particular error. Because of this particular error. So let's go. Let me check the home page and see why. It's saying that it's not able to read. Let me see the line, the error line. So line 26. Error line 26. So this is where the error is coming from. So let me check something. Let me remove this results and see whether the error will be solved. You see, you can see what is happening. So it means that we are no more supposed to use the utils, but the utils was used. So take note. Make sure that you don't have the utils. But I will correct this on the. I'll correct this in the course. All right. But the reason why we're not getting it displayed was because we had the utils inside here, which I just removed. And now you can see so far the total donations into this contract is 0.031 ether. You can see, and now the simulations we talked about is now showing. See the simulations. So this only did this and that, but this is not real. All right. So let's go and deploy our contract, our front end, so that anyone can now use our app to do, to do donations. And let's check. This lesson we will deploy our Next.js frontend to a hosting platform like Vessel. So my preferred platform is Vessel. Step one, preparing your app for deployment. Before deploying, make sure everything is ready. So check for errors, run your app locally, and ensure there are no errors. So make sure that there are no errors. Build your app. Run the Next.js build command to check for any build time errors. Okay, so let's check it. I'm going to stop this from running, and then so C plus Control C to stop it. Yes, I want to stop. Alright, so now let's run npm run build. We are going to deploy our front end now. Npm run build. Let's do that quickly. Okay, now deploy on Vessel. Sign into Vessel. Go to Vessel and sign in with your GitHub. Import your project. Click on new project and select your GitHub repository containing the next app. So what it means is that before you even go to Vessel, you have to push this particular code your GitHub. So you have to create a repository and push it to your GitHub. Then configure build settings, and then if you have any environment variable you add, but we don't have environment variables. So I assume that you guys know how to send your code to GitHub. And then if you're able to send your code to GitHub, just read this deploy on Vessel here, and then you should be able to get your code on Vessel. So when you get it on Vessel, Vessel will generate a URL for you. So this URL anyone can now access your app and then perform transaction, which will automatically go and communicate with your contract or your deployed contract. So we are not going to do this, but try it and let me know. Right, so we have here says compiled successfully. That means we don't have any build time error. Everything is working all right in the front end. Okay, so now our donation app ready and everything is working perfectly. Okay, so don't worry, the front end is not looking beautiful, but you can correct it. You can correct it. Just go in and use your front end skills to correct it. It's not any big deal. You know, front end takes time. You don't rush to even the logic is what is important. But for front end, it takes time for you to correct everything. So, for instance, for using doing CSS, you can say that class. We can do something here, maybe flex, then flex column, then justify. No, I will not add it here. So add it here, it means it might. So I'm just going to do something here. So um, I'm coming. I'll do it this way. So under here, I'll put a div, and then I'll copy all of this inside that new div created. So I'll cut it and put here inside this div. Okay. So let me format. So I'm not going to waste time here. Just something I'm trying to show. I know some of you are even so class name flex, then flex column, justify center, item center. No, stuff like this. So let's go back to our front end and refresh. Oh, okay. So I stop it from running. I have to run it back again. I stop it from running. So npm run dev. So let it run. Oh, this is the contract, not the this is the contract. So let me close it and rather run this one. I mistakenly ran the contract instead of the front end. So npm run dev. So this is it. Okay. So it's now running. Okay. So let me load here. And you will see our CSS in action. Right. Why is this slow? The machine is slow. Okay, so check. I'm just turning the simple CSS I did. You can now see where it has shifted instead of having it at the end here. It has shifted it to this side. So what I did was created a new div under the header. Then I put everything inside there. Then I use the flex column, justify center, item center, to have it move there. Okay, so you can still add more, more designs. So maybe let's say we want it to be at the center. First, let's add height screen so that it takes the height of the screen. So something, you see. So now this one will now take the height of the screen to push it to the center. Okay, so you can style it just like how you want to style it using the Win CSS. You can be able to style it how you want to do it. Alright, so I think we are now done and everything is working. I want you to push your code to GitHub and get it on Vessel. And please, after getting it on Vessel, share your URLs into the group so that we can test and see how your app is going. Okay, so see you next time. Bye bye.